Hey, I'm Kalila McCoy, and this is the podcast that turns everyday moments into meaningful lessons. This is Where We Rise. Hi, friend. Welcome to Where We Rise. Whether this is your first episode or you've been here from the very beginning, I want to welcome you and thank you for being here. Sharing this space with you is truly one of the highlights of my day. Right now, we are in our Back to School series where we explore how others learn, both literally and figuratively, and how they see the world so we can learn a little bit more ourselves. Now, when I was in elementary school, I was homeschooled and I absolutely loved it. My dad was my teacher and we spent the first few hours of the day on lessons and then the rest of the day was ours. Some days we were at church where he worked as a youth minister. Other days we were at Girl Scouts, the YMCA, the arcade at the mall, out to lunch, or just talking to all the different types of people we would meet throughout our day. When my mom had work trips, I would travel with her and my grandma, and there would be no interruptions to my learning. Homeschooling gave me an incredible connection with my father, lasting memories with my mom and grandma, built my confidence, and helped me believe and see that I could really learn anything. Now that I'm a mom, I often wonder, should I be giving Miles that same experience? Now, I know people on both sides of the homeschooling conversation, and DJ and I are always thinking about what is best for our family and what's best for Miles, his personality, his needs, his curiosity, and his rhythm. So when I saw Christina Garrett post on Facebook about being a businesswoman, a pastor's wife, and a homeschooling mother of 5, I knew I had to talk to her. I wanted to know why she chose homeschooling, how that choice shaped her family, and what she's learned along the way. You are about to hear a wonderful conversation that answers all those questions, but also gives us so much more. Christina shares wisdom about motherhood, identity, balance, vision, and growth that every one of us can learn from, whether we homeschool, send our kids to public school, or in a completely different season or walk in life. So let's get into it. Hi, Christina. Welcome to the show.
Hello. So glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you here. I was just, we were talking before I hit record, and I've been watching your content on Facebook, and I really love your message and your demeanor. So I've really been looking forward to our conversation today. And I know we'll end up talking about a few different things about you and what you do. So just start us off. Tell us who you are and some of the things you're involved with.
Absolutely. Well, first, it's such an honor to be here. Hello, everyone. I'm Christina Garrett. I am a productivity coach for women leaders who want to change the world. They have very big visions, but sometimes very little time as well. And so I help them to integrate or bring together a healthy rest strategy, one that keeps their goals at the forefront of their mind, as well as being present for their families too. Like I think, in today's society, we often have two very polarizing standpoints on how to create a healthier work-life balance. But I think most importantly, balance is something that we can feel. So for me, productivity is the anchoring of my work, helping us to use our hours in ways that really serve us well. In addition to coaching, I am a homeschooling mom of 5 really amazing children, ages 8 to 18. We just graduated our first. Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you. He's on Tuskegee this fall. And sometimes I say I have 6 children because he brought me the girlfriend.
Okay.
If anybody sees me on the internet, they're going to see this extra 6 young person. And that's because he brought me the girl who didn't have a rooted family to love her. And so now she's in mine and she's my child. And so
that's awesome.
Yes. And so that's been an interesting whirlwind ride in terms of coming of age and family relationships and all of those things. So a pastor's wife, homeschooling mom, and I really love the work I do with the Momathon movement as well.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start with your Momathon movement and is that part of your productivity coaching?
Yes. Yes,
okay.
It is.
Now, how did you start that?
So there's a time now where we're really talking a lot about motherhood and self-care and,
Mm-hmm.
time off and finding margin in your life. But when I was a young mom, there was none of the above. And
Okay,
so
right.
I can remember being, having my oldest son, he was probably 18 months, maybe two. We were
Mm-hmm.
excited about having another baby. Like, we wanted to grow our family. Oh, find out I'm pregnant. We go to the doctor for that first visit and they do the ultrasound, on the first visit.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember laying there and saying, ma'am, can you see eyes on the baby so soon? Like it was two bubbles on
Mm-hmm.
the screen looking at us. And she said, oh no, honey, those are twins. And I said, wait a minute.
Oh,
So we go from a cool mom of one. You can be cool, cool parents with one kid. We
yes.
were 25 with a minivan and three
Oh,
toddlers. We went
wow.
to old people instantly.
Not the
And so,
minivan.
yes, I had a minivan. I was very upset. No one seemed to care about my upset, how frustrated I was at this concept. However, I
Yes.
survived that season. I have a Suburban now,
Okay.
but at the
Good.
time, the minivan was where I was living with all of those car seats. And so,
Yeah.
um, learning how to find your identity again as a
Mm-hmm.
mom, as a wife, as a caregiver, maybe someone out there as a partner, or you are a problem solver in many areas of your life. And so when you have all of these roles that pull at you in different ways, you have to figure out who you are. And so I
Mm-hmm.
went through that period of feeling like I went to college, I have a degree, I'm not doing anything with it because I'm a stay-at-home mom and childcare is expensive with three
Right.
babies. I just was looking to find my way. And so Momathon really came from me wanting to let other moms know or other women know that if you don't have people who can be community for you or who understand where you are in your life, that you can come here and sit with us. I
Mm-hmm.
started with a single event, something small, like, tiny meeting room at the Hilton Garden Inn, and the
That's
chicken
pretty
was
cool.
dry and the cookies weren't great. There was no pomp and circumstance, but there was something really amazing that happened where people were just there yearning for connection.
Yes.
Um, and so that was the start of it. It really wasn't, I didn't come into it thinking about coaching. Coaching really wasn't a thing, you know,
Mm-hmm.
10, 12. Well, goodness, my twins are 16 now. It's like 15 years ago, 14,
Wow,
15 years
yeah.
ago. The idea of the mom movements, of self-care and talking about maternal health and all of these layers really wasn't a buzzword. Even therapy and
No.
self-care weren't buzzwords at the time. I just knew
Right.
this was something that I needed. Like, you can love your life and then not like it every day. Like,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes parenting small humans is really
Yeah.
challenging and it puts a strain on you and who you are and your family. And so I just wanted to normalize that it's okay
Mm-hmm.
for us to find our way and to know you're still going to get to your destination, even if it feels hard right now.
Right.
And so that's turned into a lot of layers over the years, coaching and consulting. I do productivity, leadership, communication trainings for different organizations.
Mm-hmm.
The Momathon Conference, the one that started small, now serves hundreds of women every year,
Wow,
where we just
neat.
finished year 10. And
Okay.
so I just committed to keeping on going,
Where do you
and
hold your conference?
usually it's in Atlanta. We've done a couple
Okay.
different places, but now because the work has spread, my community has spread, we have lots of ladies who fly in from other places. So
Wow, that's
Atlanta
so
seems
good.
to be the
Congratulations.
thank you. Atlanta seems to be the happy medium place for
Yes.
everybody to get to.
I mean, who
Yes.
doesn't want to go to Atlanta, right?
Yeah, and I'm like, listen, y'all don't have to go through any traffic. Just get on the shuttle from the airport. 5 minutes, you're
Mm-hmm.
there, and everybody. It seems like a really happy medium. So,
Yeah.
lots of skills and things have come from planning that experience and gathering people. But I feel like the heart of it has remained the same. That you can love your life, but you have to build the soft life that you've been looking for. It doesn't just
Right.
happen. Your family doesn't just magically become who you've always needed for them to become. Instead,
Mm-hmm.
it is a process. So,
Yeah. Very neat.
yeah.
And then you said you're also a pastor's wife, right? So I'm sure that gives you a lot of responsibilities. Is he like a head pastor of a church?
Yes.
Did
Yes.
you guys
Senior
start it?
pastor. No, he did
Okay.
not. So our church is 150 years old.
Wow.
Yes, our
Neat.
church is 150 years old. I remember
Okay.
telling a cousin of mine, that there are different church cultures. So if
Mm-hmm.
you started the church, you can, share what your philosophy is for ministry, and everybody that comes into it is co-signing with that philosophy of ministry. Versus this church has been around for a century before you even got there. Like, we
Right.
have World War II veterans,
Wow.
that signed on Hiroshima that were going to our church and lived to 105. And
Oh my
so,
goodness.
to see that history that's there as
Mm-hmm.
well. It doesn't put too much extra on my plate. Thankfully, my husband is very
Okay.
well balanced, and I'm not a co-pastor.
Okay. Yes.
I'm dating the pastor, and I support him in ministry, and whatever that means, I try to fill the gaps.
Mm-hmm. And then 5 children. So I know you said you
Yeah.
had the twins. So that
Yes.
put you up to 3. And then the last 2 was that the goal? Like, did you want a big family or just things kind of happened as they happen?
Yeah, they kind of happen as they happen. We
Yeah.
definitely planned the oldest. I joke sometimes and say half of the twins were expected. You,
Right.
you go, you go for one baby. Wait a minute, 2 for the price of one. How did this happen?
Right.
And so, whichever one is talking back the least that day, I'm like, oh, you were the planned one.
Right.
How did you get here?
Right.
So, and then we have an 11-year-old and an 8-year-old as well. So our
Yeah.
house is always loud. There's always something happening. Someone's acting, just jumping over something, but it is the
Right.
best life. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Now, I was excited to talk to you about homeschooling. I am a school
Yes.
teacher myself. So,
Awesome.
being in the public school system, and I've talked to parents who have asked me my opinion on homeschooling and things like that. And I was also homeschooled myself as a kid, and I had a
Mhm.
really good experience with it. I know there are people who have horrible experiences and people who have just misconceived ideas of what, that old school, like, homeschool kid who is weird and awkward and doesn't know anything
Mhm.
other than, one subject or something, and they think you only read the Bible. I don't know. But
And you're locked up in your basement. It's like,
yes,
my
yeah.
kids go places. Thank you very much.
Yes. So I know, like, when I was homeschooled, it was still not, a thing to do. And I feel like it's being a little bit more popular now and more accepting and things like that. But I just wanted to know your idea, especially as a mom of 5, what made you decide to do homeschooling and how it's affected your family?
Well, I always like to give the disclaimer that I never had plans to home educate my children.
Mm-hmm.
I like
That's
to let the
huge
cat out the
then.
bag
Yeah.
because people seem to feel like if you have a large family or all the things, you're like the melanated Mary Poppins. I, I,
I love that.
I was I was counting down to them going to school.
Uh-huh.
Pre-K, Head Start, kindergarten. You all just have
Yes.
to go somewhere and learn somewhere else so I can have my quiet space back again. I was counting down.
Right.
Now, so I always like to give that disclaimer, like, so that people don't have a estimate that they need to be a certain type of person or
Mm-hmm.
have some added layer of capacity already instilled in them to
Okay.
make this decision for your family. I can remember being out with my husband and 3 children and feeling like I couldn't breathe. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't a full on panic attack, but it was the feeling of I'll never be alone again.
Yes. Yep.
I
I
will
only
be
have
with
one kid and I feel that way.
Yes, I will have small children. They will never age. They will always be, 5, 6, 7, calling me for everything. This will always
Mhm.
be my season of life. And we forget that we look around and we see other people. Our seasons aren't the same from 5 years ago. So the same is
Right.
going to happen with our families at the same time. But I can remember really counting down, like really wanting for my kids to be school ready.
Mhm.
And in the midst of all that, God started dealing with me, right, about it wasn't like a light from above or anything that
Mhm.
said thou shalt homeschool. It was more of it was more of my kids are doing all the things that kids do, but it was so over the top and I just didn't have the patience for it. I was like, y'all
Mhm.
have to go somewhere and to learn. I can't teach you. And
Okay.
I can remember reading an article called Blueberries and Rats. I
Hmm.
know. Y'all can look it up. It's a blog. It's somewhere still floating around the internet, I'm sure. And one day I need to
Okay.
message the blogger and tell her that her her message changed my life, you know?
Yeah, I'm
She,
sure she'd
she
love
was,
that.
yeah, she was talking about how one day she was washing fresh blueberries in the sink, you know, and her child comes in and dunks his entire face in the sink, getting water, you know, all the dirt, filth, sweat, and everything from being outside is now falling
With the
all over the blueberries
blueberries.
as she just, yes. And so she
Mm,
flips out. And she's like, oh my goodness, you all don't care about anything. She starts yelling and just, you know, a very passionate, emotional moment that she
mm-hmm,
probably, if she had been catching herself, she would have been able to pull back on. But she has some anger issues. And she compared those moments to having rats in your cellar.
hmm,
How when you open the pantry that's dark and shaded, or the basement door or the cellar door, if you open it slowly, the rats have space to hide. If you open it
mm-hmm.
quickly, that's when you catch there is something in your pantry that shouldn't be there. So
Okay.
she talked about these very emotional outbursts, not the ones that the children have, the ones that you as a parent have, where you
Hmm.
are dealing with your anger, your frustration, your desire for things to be a certain way. And these people living in your house are making it so that it can't be this way. And, you know, when you go to
Yes.
church or you drop them off at school, you can put your mask on. Says,
Mm-hmm.
but at home is where we know there is no mask. We're
Right.
opening the cellar door quickly and we see what's really in there. You have anger issues in your life.
I like that
You
analogy.
don't have self-control. I was like, oh my God. Now she didn't say it like this, but when I read it, I just felt like, oh, she's talking about me. And so I went on
Mm-hmm.
a mission to course correct
Okay.
some of these areas in my life that made me feel like I can't have my children with me because
Mm,
I can't handle it.
right.
That's me. That's a me thing. That's not even the kids. Like it was almost if they're having these behavioral issues, maybe they don't need less time with you. Maybe they need more time to
Yeah.
work through the challenges and all the things. So, you know, now my oldest son is 18. He's 6 feet. He has an 8-pack and a girlfriend and a goatee. This is where, you know, these are seasons that have transitioned, right? But I feel
Yes.
like when we first started out, the desire to homeschool for me personally wasn't there. I wanted to send them to school, but I
Mm-hmm.
remember realizing in order for me to be who I was supposed to be, I also need to bring them closer. We need to have
Yeah.
more conversations and more slow moments. And, you know, now the teens come in at 11 and say, can we talk? And I'm like, sure, even though you're so
Yeah.
tired, but you're just so glad that they want to talk to you in the first
Yes.
place. But that's
Exactly.
what those foundational moments was building. You know, was
Yeah.
this idea of, sure, the education is the byproduct. The
Mm-hmm.
relationship should always be the goal. And if
Yes.
we are, you know, not submitted to being the person that we're supposed to be in these areas of our lives, that's what damages the relationships. It's not keeping the kid with you, all those other things. It is the over the top, you know,
Mm-hmm.
expressions of things that are painting us in a light that we don't like. So it's easier sometimes to send the kid away than it is to keep them close.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, we have work to do on ourselves
Right.
as parents.
Yeah. How long do you feel like it took you to kind of do that work to get to the point where you realized that it was pulling them closer and spending more time with them?
Oh my goodness. I feel like I'm still doing it.
Mhm. That's
I had a
fair,
teen
yeah.
come I had a teen come in today and I was like, "Sir, there are cuss words imminent." Listen, I'm not the one of the two. And I put it
Right.
down in there. You know, no words were said, but I was like, bro, like we can go here. So I think there's, you know, but that doesn't build a relationship. So we had a talk.
Right.
We all, you know, whatever issues are happening with the siblings, let's work this thing out. Let's move forward. All of the
Mhm.
things, all of the cliches you're supposed to say when you're working through things. But I think we're all ongoing work. Like maybe as soon as you figure it out, you walk into a new season of life and
Mhm.
you have teenagers and they are teening, as we call it, but they are
Right.
having emotional responses to hormones and changes and stress and all these things. And you're innately like, what stress? You know, that's
Mhm.
your first response. And the second one has to be, okay, well, here's how we work through this challenge and I'm here to help you. So
Right.
it's all of that and so much more.
Mhm. Now you have a wide range of emotions and thoughts and things to deal with. How do you balance obviously like the 18-year-old is going through things that the 8-year-old is not, and you might not want them to hear certain things, but it's all happening in the house and you guys are always, I'm assuming, kind of together. How do you
Mhm.
balance that then?
I think that it's possible. This is so funny. I think my younger children have just like gotten tapped into things at an earlier age than my older
Mhm.
kids did. So
Right.
maybe my oldest son was like 12 when we were really having the conversation,
Right.
and because the twins were in the room and they're 10, they're like, "Oh, well, how are babies made?" And so now we go and so now we have the conversation. So you remember that documentary we watched? And then we got, we're kind of laying it out. And so
Uh-huh.
now for my 11-year-old son, when he was 9, he said, "Well, Mama, I've been hearing people talking about how babies are made. Are you going to show me or not?" And I'm like, "Well, all right, let's
Like,
go.
here we go.
Here we go." And I'm going to like pull out a documentary and talk about menstrual
Hey, they
cycles.
say
And
teach
this is
them
what
early,
happens.
right?
He got it so much earlier than they did. So
Mhm.
I see how their brains are so much more developed because they pick up all the crumbs that the teenagers drop down. So
Right.
that's been very interesting as well.
Yeah. Did you start homeschooling right away with the oldest in kindergarten, or how long was it until you started homeschooling?
Yes, he started in kindergarten. He's always been
Okay.
home with us. My
Good.
husband, even when he was pastoring a smaller rural church, he was
Mhm.
in school full time, an hour away from our home. Our church was an hour away from our home. He was also, operating a business. And so if we weren't going with him to the places where he was going, ministry conferences and all of that, my kids really wouldn't have seen a lot of their dad. And so
Mhm.
that was one of the big catalysts for us deciding to
Yeah.
homeschool in the first place was we just wanted more flexibility and family time,
Right.
to be able to say, we want to do this on this day and we don't have to, check in with anybody to go to the
Yes.
museum, which
Yeah.
is wild. But that's what I started to see happening. We
Mhm.
would have family members come in town when he was in pre-K and they would want me to, why is he missing class? Well, he already knows all the letters and the numbers, that's
Mhm.
what you all are learning. And his grandmother is here and he only sees her
Right.
once or twice a year. So he's not going to be at school today.
Mhm.
And I was never much of a fan of people telling me what I could do with my own children. So we decided to pull them out.
Might be good for everybody, right?
Yeah. And listen, some people they're not responsible and that's okay. But I'm like, you're
Yes.
going to learn something. Let's go. We're going to go here and here, or we're going on a road trip, all those things. Last thing I wanted was to be declared truant,
Mhm.
and, you
Yes.
kidnapped the child or you're a negligent parent because we went to New Orleans for a ministry conference. It's just,
Right.
So that was one of our biggest causes was more family time and more flexibility to
Mhm.
travel and to be together. And now I'm grateful that the kids have a well-rounded homeschool education, but it's about 3 days a week.
Okay. Neat.
Mhm.
So how do
Yeah.
you get it all in? Are you using a curriculum? Did you kind of create stuff?
So homeschooling has come a long way
Mhm.
since, I'm not going to say its inception, but since it really took off, let's say 10
Okay.
plus years ago, we started to see more families. After the pandemic, I think the number
Oh,
of Black
yes. Yeah.
homeschooling families went from, I think 3 or 4% to like 16% and counting.
Really?
That was probably a year
Okay.
or two ago. So now they're starting to pay attention to where are these kids going? They're
Mhm.
leaving and not coming back. What does this do to our numbers and our funding and all of those these are legislative conversations that are being had.
Mhm.
For us and here in Alabama in Montgomery where I live, there are a couple great programs. One that's just for teenagers. So they teach the
Okay.
subjects that the parent doesn't want to teach. Physics,
That's
the
nice.
sciences, all of the maths. Like
Okay.
I go just for the math. I don't want to teach you math. It was harder on us, trying to do it, looking at each other. My oldest son, we were doing algebra. He would say, "Mom, is
Mm.
this right?" I would say, "Come back later."
So I
I'll
can
let
look
you
it up.
know. Come back later. I'll let you know after I'm done with. We don't have time for this. So at a certain point, at the pace they were picking up, I was slowing them down. I
Uh-huh.
said, "You need to go to somebody who this is their job description." And so
Yes.
we enrolled
I get
them
that.
in that program, and we're also part of a homeschooling co-op as well that meets every single week, and they do literature and science experiments and PE time and all of those wonderful things too. So very well rounded.
Yeah. And you said it's only 3 days a week?
Yeah, 3 days a week. So we have the once a week co-op, and then the other program that my older kids are a part of is on Mondays and Wednesdays.
And are they doing it all year long? Or is it the same school year that kids who like in public school would go through? How do you guys do that?
Yes, it's the same cycle as a typical year. So it's usually August to May.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what type of fun things do you guys do on their days off?
So on the days off, I am working.
Okay.
On the days off, I'm working. So I am, in addition to the homeschooling, my coaching schedule is growing, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I have the calendar open 2 days a week to meet with my clients. So on those days, they can do homework assignments. They can stare at the wall, whatever it is that they like to do. Whatever it is they like to do. My older teenagers, they especially always have some work to do. So I
Yes.
kind of have been working on them more about time management. Like this is their
Okay.
piece of learning time management. They're part of the National Beta Club. So they do volunteer work and things like that, and church. And so those days where I'm working, I'm like, listen, you all know what you need to do. Don't wait until the day before to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the day that mom is grounded to meet with my clients and things like that. And most of the time that's an all day thing because I have probably about 25 to 27 clients that I'm meeting with now.
Okay.
And so the business is actively blossoming as well as the homeschooling week.
Okay. That's pretty cool. It gives them a chance to learn some of those processing skills and using their time wisely and stuff like that, along with everything else that they're learning in life. So I like that a
Yes.
lot.
Yes.
Was there anything that's kind of been surprising to you through this journey that you weren't expecting to either go well or not go well at the beginning?
I think I knew that the teen years move quickly because I saw my
Mhm.
friends working their way through it.
Mhm.
Um, but I feel like the picture I have of my children when they went to the winter formal dance last, February,
Mhm.
them then and now was like night and day. And so I
Okay.
think it creeps up on us sometimes where you look at your kid and it's like, oh, look how small they were a year ago or 2 years ago.
Yes.
But it's July at the time of this recording, right?
Mhm.
And that means the year of 2026 is already half over.
Right.
And my son says, wow, the year goes by so quickly. I say, every year goes by just this fast.
Mhm.
And I often, emphasize to my clients and to people I come across with, like, what if every year does go by this fast? Like, what experience do you want to have with your children, with the work you do, with who you are as a
Mhm.
woman? Like, what do you want to experience during that time that makes you feel like I have no regrets? And
Right.
so usually, for example, the Momathon conference is every fall, usually around September, October time. But this year I said, I really want to enjoy the summer with my kid. It's his
Mhm.
last year living at home. I left home at 17, friend, and never came back. When I came back, I had a husband.
Mhm.
I came home married. And so what if that's my vantage point? Like
Yeah.
what if I'm looking from this point backward and I'm like, who was I during my son's senior year? I
Mhm.
really want to feel like I was this type of mom.
Right.
And so we get to, integrate these different moving pieces. I think that was the thing that felt surprising for me. But that was a lot of inner work that I had to do to really enjoy this season. I had to
Right.
look for the joy.
Good. Do you feel like you've gotten a lot of support along the way? Especially, and I know you talk a lot about the teen years, but I'm sure even with the younger kids, right?
hmm
Trying to help them and get them focused and learning. And your cohort, is that also a support kind of group for you?
Do you mean the homeschooling cohort? Like,
Yes. Yeah.
yes. So it sounds weird. I'm so much a homebody. So I look
Mhm.
for ways to take my kids out of the house and for us to go places and do things. I appreciate that it is a valuable community for us where my kids
Mhm.
can go and see people that they enjoy seeing on, a repetitive basis. Emotional support, I don't know, but I'm glad to have I know if nothing else goes right all week, if I'm MIA and, I'm also caring for my mother and a litany of other things. So if
Uh-huh.
nothing goes right all week, I know y'all have co-op.
Right.
I know you have co-op
It's like
coming
that
up.
constant thing that's there for you.
Co-op cometh. And the census coming, I know they're going to talk to you about literature. You're going to do world geography. You're going to do an art project, a STEM project. You're going to go outside and play. If there's no other day, if everything else is in the trash can all week long, we at least have our co-op day that is going to make sure that you all get engaged and do the things you need to do. A interesting thought that I had, and this may be helpful for you too, as you think through all the things. It was a research article that I read that talked about how most of the things you need to learn for college, you can learn in 2 to 3 years. Most of what you need to know to take tests and excel in college, you can learn in 2 to 3 years. And I said, really? What if this is true? This is amazing. And so my kids really started to take like certain math things and all this stuff super serious when they were 8th grade, 9th grade. And my son, he's going to Tuskegee University debt free. Thank you, God.
Nice. Yes.
Scholarships, and all the good things. But I realized, I said, you know what? I want to be able to enjoy you all through this young season of your life. And then when it's time to kick in, let's kick in. But let's focus on the subjects that you really need to be proficient in. So are you reading well? Are you writing well? Can you do math? Okay, great. Now we can go to the aquarium, or to the zoo, or to all these other places to learn about, to make sure everything is well-rounded.
Right. Yeah, you get more of that experience in the real world too, and you can see how it all interconnects.
Yes.
I really enjoyed it. So when I was homeschooled, we used a curriculum, and their curriculum boasted that if you used it from K to 8th grade, you would be ready for college. So it made me think of, like what you were just saying, that, like you said, if you hone in and focus on those core subjects, you will be ready and you will be able to be successful in that. And then also when I was homeschooled, so my dad actually homeschooled me. So it was really cool to have that connection. So like what you're talking about, right? That one-on-one with my dad, that time together. On Fridays, we'd always get done early. And our thing was we went to the arcade at the mall. We always just like played and got tickets and stuff like that. And I think about a lot of what you said, right? With my son and, listeners who have kids, in whatever age, you always know, like there's time that you're missing out with them. Even myself as a school teacher, I know that I spend more time with those kids than I do with my son, and more time with those kids than their parents get to be with them. So definitely that idea of that connection and being that, you are that most important person in your kid's life, but you don't have that time always. So I think for me, he's 5 right now. And for me, it was really like, because I kind of felt like you, I like that you shared at the beginning, because he's a lot sometimes, a lot of energy. And I was just like, oh, okay, well, it'll be nice when you're at school. We could just have some downtime.
That's a very real emotion.
It is. It really is. Like last summer, he went to daycare because I was like, okay, I need some days just for me. But this summer, he's not. And it's so different. And like you said, I do have to kind of manage myself and my emotions and realize like when he's just being a 5-year-old boy and I am just, being a stressed out adult. So I think I like that idea of thinking about that connection, even with that homeschool choice.
Yes. And I want to illuminate also that there may be a feeling of trying to achieve perfection, even though we know that it's not possible. So it doesn't mean that, okay, I cracked the code when they were 7 and we've never had this problem again. No, like we've had to continuously work on communicating well, delegating family responsibilities. Everybody has to step in and help. Here's what your roles are. Like all of these layers we've had to continue to do so that there is space for me to work or there is space for us to, make sure that this child gets, the speech therapy or whatever the things that they need specifically, and everything still keeps running even when mom is on Zoom. So I should be able to say, hey, what's for dinner? And there are 4 teenagers walking around my house. Somebody come up with something.
Somebody's fixing
it. Have a Zoom call in the Zoom call in my office. So I think that that's where we get to, there is no perfect route, but I think, I teach something called the pillars of productivity. It is the idea of like really holding on to the vision you have for your family and then building alongside that how to create whatever your big idea is in the world at the same time. But I always want to illuminate for everybody, like there is no perfection. There is no, I've achieved it or made it to the finish line. There was only, here's what the next step is for the family. And we're going to commit to that. We're going to commit to it. Yeah.
Have your children ever pushed back on being homeschooled?
There has been the occasional time where they say, oh, we want to go to school. I'm like, I'd love to send you to school too. So then when it's, a cold January morning, I'm like, oh, look outside, guys. Y'all see them outside in their little coats?
At the bus, yeah.
At the bus stop at 5:45. Don't you want to go out there and stand in the dark? And they're like, no, we do not. Okay. So this is going to be short-lived. So there were very few times where they felt like, oh, we really want to go to school. And then they would have friends, at church or wherever they went, and they would say, oh, yeah, we're homeschooled. We want to be homeschooled. We wish that we could, do our schoolwork at home and this, and this. I'm like, see?
You know what's funny? I always found when because I was only homeschooled until 5th grade, but the kids who I talked to, they always thought it was the coolest thing. It was the adults that more were like, this is weird. But like the kids are always like, can we do it too?
Can we do this too? Your parents have to go to work and that's okay. Like we do too. You know what I mean? Like, and I have found, and this was a point that I was thinking about earlier when you were talking about your son and summer break is like, quality of time is not the same as quantity of time.
Very true.
So there's going to be people who hear this recording, moms who feel like, I wish I could, but you know what I mean? I wish I could homeschool my kids, but I do have to, be here. My work is at home. My husband works at home. So sometimes we're doing drop off pickup for programs or things. He can support in some of those avenues, but we had to build that. There's somebody listening who feels like I don't have that, that added, support or whatever those layers are. Quantity of hours and quality of hours are not the same. My kids are in the house right now, but we're not spending time together.
Right.
So we're not having quality hours right now. They just happen to be at home.
Right.
So I want everyone to just reconsider, like, what does it mean to have quality time with my kids? It might be through homeschooling, but it might also be through a different means where we say, you know what? Okay, I used to put you in, 5 different kids and 5 different sports, and I spent all of my time driving all over town. What if we decide, right, that there's only one activity per child per year, and y'all are not going to run, I want to be able to be the best mom for you and us also have some slow down time. So it could be us looking for places where we can slow down so that our quality of hours increase, not just the only way for me to be a good mom or present parent is to be homeschooling my kid. What if I'm just like, we need to spend more time together as a family. We're too busy to do that. Let me figure out how to increase that quality of time.
Right. Can you share some things that you guys do in your quality time?
I'm a big movie watcher. Okay. I love turning the lights out, turning the sound bar on and watching something that's probably going to make them just a little scared, like Quiet Place. Just, Yes, my 8-year-old.
I was going to say your little one is probably like, oh no.
Yes, it's so fun. It's like, okay, you can handle this. Come on. So any dinosaur movie, any like alien something where someone's hands get bitten off, we're watching it. So I tend to be that kind of parent. We do a lot of walking, especially if the teens need to talk about things. There's a lot of talking that happens in my house. And I'm like, I don't feel like talking about this, but here we are because this is the parent I want to be. Is the one who has communication with you. But overall, we spend a lot of family time together. Yeah. It's not all quality time though. Like we're sitting down doing nothing else, other than being together. So we have a lot of cohabitation going on where, someone's always coming in and out of every area. And then we have conversations, then we go back our separate ways, and then we do it again and then go back our separate ways.
Is there anything that you hear when people talk about homeschool that you're like, that's not necessarily true? Like it's kind of a myth. Or I know we talked about like the idea that the kids are weird or not getting socialized enough. Do you
Mhm.
get any of that?
Yes. However, I saw somebody post on Threads the other day about this. And basically she was getting a lot of pushback about her decision to homeschool her son.
Mm-hmm.
And I told her, I said, when you first start out, people are going to ask, why are you doing it? They're going to criticize why you did it. I said, but give it a couple years. They'll be asking you how. Give it a couple
True.
years. They're going to be asking you how. Because my children are not afraid of public speaking.
Mm-hmm.
They are not afraid of getting the microphone and standing up in front of an auditorium full of people and communicating whatever the thing is that they, so people just grab them like, hey, can you narrate this? Can you do this? Can you speak
Yeah.
on this? They just grab them to go and do it because they've been forced to, they've had so many opportunities to be those type of children in different regards. And so what I've seen in the socialization aspect is people assume because you're homeschooled, you're at home
Mm-hmm.
versus my parent is the one planning my educational path.
Right.
There's a difference, So
Yeah.
I'm not in traditional school. My parent is my primary educator. So because that's the case, we homeschool wherever we want to homeschool. So they talk to everybody,
Yes.
the senior citizens, the librarians, the checkout people and everybody says, where do your children go to school? And I'm like, they are homeschooled and I teach them like 2 to 3 days a week. And they're like, what? Like, well, we do a lot of talking in our house,
Yes.
a
That's
lot of
good.
communicating, a lot of talk about emotions and
Mm-hmm.
maturity and how the brain works and all of these things. So when you go out into the world, there's a level of conversation. You have a life coach and a pastor and social worker as parents,
Right. Yeah.
So the gifts that you all have in you are so equally important as you're homeschooling your children because we feel like
Mm-hmm.
it's ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. No, it's how to network in life. It's
Yes.
how to be audacious enough. We went to Tuskegee for something. I said, son, that's the president of the university right there. Go introduce yourself right now. Go
Wow.
introduce yourself right now. That's the provost. Go introduce yourself right now. And he can
Mm-hmm.
walk up courageously, shake their hand, get their card and come back. He said, call him if you need anything. You're going to call
Wow.
him. You're going
Yes.
to need something. I don't know what it is, right? But
Yeah.
I wish I could say, and I can say this so freely, I wish I could say the highest GPA and the highest SAT scores, what got my son a full ride to college. It was not. It was networking.
Mm-hmm.
Networking is what gets you the job. It's what gets you the internships, being able to socialize, communicate, share your message with the world, do so with courage. Like these are the things, the soft skills that so many people are missing now because we're
Right.
plugged in and we're just,
Yep,
all of those things.
exactly.
That's what gets you to the next level, not just as an adult on LinkedIn. This is as a high
Mm-hmm.
school student.
Right.
This is a high school student. They're networking and having those conversations for themselves. And I really do believe that's as a result, of them being thrust into some of those moments and having those opportunities to go and have those conversations,
Mm-hmm.
so they can say socializing, they can say, all the things, but you may not meet this person and that person at school. But if you're
Right. While you're
outside and
stuck in
you're
the
going to
building.
touring the campus. And I'm like, son, you need to go meet him. Right. He can get you everything you've ever needed, or
Right.
here's the dean of the College of Agriculture. Go meet her. All of those, very nuanced things. That's the key to everybody's next level. And if we're not
Yes.
mastering how to talk to others, then we're missing something. And so I
Yeah.
think that that's really important.
Do you feel like, because like you said, your husband's a pastor and then you're a coach, so you're used to talking and kind of networking and things like that. So obviously the gifts that you have, you're sharing with your kids as well. So thinking of somebody who's considering homeschooling, but they're like, oh, like I don't have that background or I don't have, I'm shy myself. I can't talk to
Yes.
people. How do you encourage them to still be brave enough to do what you're doing?
So I think that I may have an area of expertise that is different than someone else's.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has one.
Yeah, true.
Everybody has one. And so there's a place where sometimes we feel like if my gift isn't yours, my gift is less valuable. No, we need all of those. Like,
Right.
my specialty is I love working with moms. So my favorite people are moms with big visions. Somebody else, I have a client, she's a sleep coach, like a baby sleep coach. She helps moms get their babies sleeping well from the second they get home from the hospital. Oh my goodness. I wish I had that superpower. I don't have that yet. So my newest client has a new baby and I said, I'm going to buy you an hour with her so that you being exhausted isn't as much, right, of a thing. Somebody else does homeschooling at a whole new level. There's a mom I know, her kids do, I'm talking about graduating at 13. Okay.
Wow.
There's other people, they have all of these nuanced gifts that they use in the world. Doesn't make mine more or less valuable. It's just different.
Right.
And so every parent has to ask, how can I use my gift? How can I use the work that I am doing in the world, whatever that thing is, the passion I have, the purpose I have, what comes easy to you is going to be completely different than what comes easy to someone else. So let's combine our superpowers. I can teach soft skills all day, communication, resilience, leadership, wellness. Like these are intangible things you can't touch. I will never teach the co-op science class again. You will never get me. And this is with a bachelor's degree in animal science. I have no desire to teach anatomy.
Oh, that's so
chemistry.
Cool.
Yes, anatomy, chemistry, any one of those. No, thank you. But entrepreneurship, essay writing, speech, sign me up. I don't even need to look at the curriculum to teach that. But each one of those classes are needed to make it successful. So I think personally for everyone who has a different goal, like how can we intentionally plug ourselves into more learning opportunities, not just for the children, but for you as well? Is there a place where I should be growing or want to grow that maybe I'm avoiding the growth? Maybe I need to lean in a little bit and that will inspire my children to also lean in and be okay with occasional discomfort, that it's okay to stretch and grow.
Yeah, I like that because you're pretty much saying that you are that model, right, for your child. So if you are going to learn and grow, if you're expecting them to learn and grow, you have to do the same as well.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think everything that Momathon has done over the years has been as a result of me mommying my kids. Like I have 5, but 4 of them are boys and I have just 1 girl.
Okay.
And when she was about 3, I think I was a pretty raggedy mother. I don't know. I just felt like I'm probably not giving myself enough credit, but I just know the feeling. I knew the feeling I had about motherhood. I felt, frustrated, irritated. Like I'm looking for things to be a certain kind of way and they're just not there. Like just dissatisfied with my life.
Right.
And I just remember saying, if I want her to have a different experience of what becoming a woman means, I'm going to have to show that to her.
Right.
And I went on a mission of discovering who I was again so that I could build a life I love while being a mother and a wife and all of these other layers. Like we really are the example. And so we tell them sky's the limit. And then we just say, no, thank you to any working our way up to the sky that we could be doing for ourselves. We want them to do it and be the prototype, but we actually are.
That was good. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Okay, talk to the mom who has decided, okay, I'm going to go homeschool. This is for me. This is for my family. She has all the right reasons to do it. What would be maybe like your number one piece of advice that you would give to her?
So there's something called deschooling.
Okay.
That is when you unlearn what the public school has made normal. Okay. That might look like, we're going to do a whole month of field trips.
Oh, that sounds
I think sometime this summer, I'm going to go buy another year pass to the zoo here, which is not gigantic, but they have the wonderful tours and the train ride and the, hear the animals by geographic locations. So they have the maps out there and all the things. And so just for my younger kids, like my older children, they don't have the same level of availability, but they got a different educational experience than my younger kids are getting because I wasn't a working mom then. So I want to give them that too. So get outside. Like my philosophy is, clean your house and then leave it. You can't,
I like that.
Clean your house and leave. Like, so that when you come home, it's like, oh, everything's tidy. Now we just need to do dinner. And you're not there all day trying to, I guess, hold sand in your hands, so to speak. But I love the idea of deschooling. Like, just take some time and get to know your kids outside of the traditional setting and scheduling, that a lot of us have been kind of thrust into. Like, what would it be like to know your children just as free players, like people who love to be outside? You go join them outside. What would it be like for us to take tours and staycation and, sleep in for a while? Just go to sleep, like just recover from being under that rigorous, schedule, and then figure out, like, what do we want our homeschool journey to look like?
Yeah, this is really good advice. I like that. And I don't know, I'll be sharing our conversation with my husband because we are still very much on the fence of whether we're, going to dive into that world or not. But there's, obviously, as a school teacher, there's great teachers out there. I think there's a great opportunities in school systems as well. I think people sometimes think too, like, oh, it's if you're for homeschool, you hate public schools. If you're public school, you have to hate. Like, there's obviously benefits to both. But
absolutely.
For us, it's really like you talked about, that family piece, being able to be together, being with him, and that, being those role models in his life. So it's exciting to hear you talk about that. And also, you have, like I said, a wide range of kids. So you've had a lot of experience, and now you're sending someone successfully off to college as well. So that's always nice to hear.
Yes. I think we need more stories of people who've graduated children.
Yes,
from every avenue. Because it is exhausting sometimes. You're listening to somebody and they're talking about, what you're supposed to do as a parent, what you're not supposed to do, all the rules. I'm like, your child is 7.
Yes, right?
Your kid is 7.
Like, yes.
Baby, you are a veteran. You've seen the reels where they're like parents of newborns and then parents of toddlers, and they're laughing at the newborn parents, and then you work your way up, and the parents with adult children are like, just wait. It's going to happen to you, and you're just going to be at home rocking in the closet and praying, because that's all you got. You can't even say anything.
You're not going to post this moment.
That's right. We're not going to post this moment. So I'm inching into that phase of life, and all you can do is hope that the time you spend with your kids, what you poured into them, the life lessons, and you making yourself available is going to carry them through their adult years. But I think even in the early, like, are we going to do this or are we not? You have to decide, like, the total vision for your family, and not just the educational component is one part of that, but also, who do you want to be? Like, if you're still a teacher and you want to continue that, do you, I know a host of edupreneurs. I have clients who are starting schools, clients who have co-ops, clients who are, college professors or mental health specialists, all these layers of things. So you got to decide too, like, what you and your husband want for yourselves, so that, the entire family is flourishing. Because, happy children who are blessed and feel like, oh, I feel so surrounded by love. It's not always the school that they go to. It's that I have parents who don't play about me.
Yes.
And exactly. I know my mama will come up to this school and we will light it up if I need to light it up. The babies need to know my mama does not play about me, homeschooled or not. We had meetings at the homeschool co-op. Me and my husband dressed in all black, honey. We went right up there with the others. Okay. And we said, listen, is there a problem?
Right.
Is there a problem? Do you want to? Don't cry. Don't cry. Is there a problem? Tell your child to keep
Let's talk about
their hands to themselves, because the Garretts always finish it. We will, I had to let them know we got to go up to just like the Black Panther Party. So there are times, where you got, but my kids know my mom and dad don't play about me. No matter where they go to school, I will light this joint up. And I think that that's
Yes.
important for every child to have, the ability to learn with dignity, the ability to feel like they are seen, heard, valued, and appreciated, whether you homeschool or not, whether your kids in public, private, charter, wherever, micro schools. There's so many different options now. Google the options. I mean,
Yes,
what's in my
that's
city
true.
or in my state, that we
Right.
could move closer to this micro school that meets 3 days a week or 4 days a week. They have Fridays off, or it's a 4-hour school, not an 8-hour school. There's so many new emerging, depending on the state, emerging ways to educate children in a way that serves them best. Our
Yes.
job as parents is to figure that out. We can't go bankrupt
Exactly.
trying to discover it. Homeschool is the only way. No, I have a good friend. She has a micro school in Birmingham, and she has about 10 or 12 students in the middle school, early high school age, where she's, orchestrating their learning, and it's 4 days a week.
That's
So
awesome.
because there's so many ways to do it, now I just feel like amazing children who are productive in the world have parents who are not playing about their success. If
Yes.
we can say that I'm willing to be that parent, which most of us are, then we get to choose after that the best path that works for them.
Yes. Oh my goodness. That was really great advice. I loved everything that you said. If you have any more advice for us, I always ask our guests, what is the one thing that you want us to take away to help us rise now that we've heard your story? Either it could be to a homeschooling parent, it could just be parents in general. Anybody you want to speak to, what would be the takeaway for us today?
I would say that building a soft life takes hard work. Where I am in my journey now as a leadership coach, as a community founder, as a mom, I feel like I'm reaping the fruit of being okay with hard years, and it wasn't that the entire year was hard, but I think there were like conversations my husband and I had to be willing to have that, you don't always want to have that, or, some nights where you don't want to clean the kitchen. I don't want to clean the kitchen. Who did more, who's more tired, that whole, back and forth that we often have as parents. Let's just leave it till tomorrow. We'll deal with it tomorrow. Let's get Chinese food and lay on the couch and watch a movie and send the kids to bed, because our relationship success is more important than this moment. So I always advise, clients and community to look at the bigger picture. Who do you want to be? What do you want to create? What do you want your kids to look back on and say, wow, my mom and dad did all of this for me, or the people that loved me and raised me gave me this. This was the valuable or valid thing. I think that that's the most important thing, because the years are going to go by, wherever they go to school or however. But who are you right now that when they look back and they describe this time in you all's life, they're like, oh, but this was a wonderful thing. Like, I know my mama didn't feel like it, but she did it anyway, or, I really worked to give you all this experience. I think that that's a beautiful thing. So be okay with seasons that stretch you, with you having to learn new ways to communicate, delegate, use your voice to change the world in whatever way you're supposed to. Your family will be blessed as a result.
Yes. If someone wants to hear more of either about your business or just kind of follow your journey, where can they find you?
I am all over the internet, Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
Facebook and LinkedIn is Christina Garrett. I have like a frohawk situation
Yes,
and
I love
glasses. So if
it.
you get on there, you're like, is this her? If there's like this mohawk all cut up, and you're like, oh, that's her right there. That's me. And then I'm also on Facebook and Instagram, the Mamathon Diaries, where I'm
Okay.
telling all the things, lots of productivity tips and advice on brand building, business building, so that you can balance both your family and your vision.
Yeah. All right. Well, I will add that to the show notes, and I will follow you on Instagram as well. So,
Wonderful. I will do the
yeah.
same.
Thank you so much for your time today. I really enjoyed your perspective and your ideas that you shared, and it's given me a lot to think about and talk to my husband about. And I think even though we talked about homeschooling, right? I think everything that you talked about is still, even if someone doesn't have kids, thinking about who you want to be, what you want your life to look like. And then obviously the married couples and the parents with people with kids, sorry, I'll edit that out.
You can leave
People
it.
with kids can connect to that as well, because we are all trying to create something for ourselves. So your ideas were definitely timely and appropriate for everyone. So I appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate you, and it's my honor to be here.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Christina, for this conversation. No matter what stage of life you're in, she offered so many meaningful gems to sit with. One line that stayed with me was, "You can love your life and not like it every day." That wasn't the main focus of our conversation, but it was a needed reminder. Life gets hard, it gets busy, it gets overwhelming, and if we're not careful, we start to treat a bad day like a bad life. That mix-up can send us down a path we never meant to walk. Staying mindful and reflective helps us keep perspective and protect our joy. Christina challenged us with two simple but powerful questions. Who do you want to be? And what do you want to create? When was the last time you paused long enough to answer those? And if you've answered them before, are you still on the right path, or have your goals shifted and you need to shift with them? I love her encouragement to create a vision for your family. Write it down, share it, and make sure everyone knows their role in building the life you're imagining together. She also asked, is there a place I should be growing or want to grow that I might be avoiding? If the answer is yes, take the next step, even a small one. Growth doesn't happen all at once. It happens little by little with courage and consistency. And of course, there's homeschooling. Christina reminded us that sometimes the growth we need isn't about sending our kids away, but it's about pulling them closer. She realized her children didn't need less time with her. They needed more time to work through challenges, to build trust, and to strengthen their relationship. Homeschooling wasn't her plan, but it became her path because it allowed her family to breathe, connect, and learn in a rhythm that worked for them. But remember, whether you homeschool or not, the heart of her message still applies. Quality relationships and quality time. That is the goal, not just quantity. The relationships we build with our kids shape their success and ours. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. I can't wait for our next episode as we continue our Back to School series and keep learning through the stories, perspectives, and experiences of others. As you move through the rest of your day, I hope you take a moment to listen a little louder to yourself, to the people you love, and to the things that connect us in ways we sometimes forget to notice. I'll meet you back here next time. See you, bye.